symposium at 5:30 on Saturday in Upper Tarble. Please RSVP to Sager at swarthmore.edu, which is also in the back of your leaflets. But please RSVP if you want to come, and please come. And also, there will be a party for alumni at 9 o'clock this Saturday in the Dana Well trailer.
Oh, 8! Oh, 7.
And now, on to our performer. It is my honor and great pleasure to introduce Sassafras Lowrey, a genderqueer, high femme, militant storyteller, author, artist, and activist who will be performing for us this evening. Z is an accomplished zinester and storyteller. Z has performed as an original member of the spoken word performance group, The Language of Paradox, which was founded and directed by Kate Ornstein, and also as part of the Femme Show, Children of Revolution, and Traitors Without Treason. Z has edited an anthology called Kicked Out, which collects stories of past and current LGBTQ youth who are forced to leave home due to their sexuality and/or gender identity, and that is due out in late 2009. Z has also written GSA to Marriage, Stories of Life Lived Queerly, which weaves together her experiences of child sexual abuse and being kicked out for being queer, with her journeys through gender changes from butch to F&M, and finally to high femme, which is due out summer of 2010. Throughout all her work, Sassafras draws upon her own life experiences to bring into startling focus issues of queer youth homelessness, abuse survival, gender transgression, race, class, and sexuality. So please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you so much. And I didn't know it was going to be mic'd when I said I didn't want the music stand. So this may be a juggling act that may be okay. So,
You can sit up how you want to stand there.
that would be really amazing. I didn't know it was going to be mic'd, which is why I told you no. I'm sorry.
That's cool.
So I'll kill time. Sorry. Thank you all for coming. It's exciting that it's such a huge crowd on a Friday night, which is really amazing to me. See, and I'm sad you're here. And the piece that I'm going to read is... It's not mine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm not usually the piece that I'm going to read is called Stories of Selves Replaced, and it's a collection of stories that comes mostly from my book, GSA to Marriage, and then somewhat from Kicked Out. And it was written based on the premise of this idea that every 7 years, ourselves completely replicate. And this idea that we're not the people we were 7 years ago, and I wrote it on the 7th anniversary of when I was kicked out for being queer. You're amazing. Thank you. That's amazing. On the 7th anniversary for being queer, and it sort of evolved from there and grown from there. And I have a disclaimer that I have to do now before I do the piece. The first time I did it was actually on the exact 7th anniversary of when I was kicked out. And that morning I woke up and got a piece of hate mail. It was actually the first direct hate mail I'd ever received. And this wasn't exactly the most radical thing I've ever done. And so I was a little shocked that this was the event that people decided to be upset about. But I got an email from a queer woman who's a neurologist. And she wrote me this 6-paragraph email telling me about how I was slandering science, and that she needed me to make sure that my audiences understood that I didn't know what I was talking about the brain, which is true. I have no idea. And according to her, she wanted to be very clear that yes, all of the cells in the body replicate every 7 years except for those in the brain. And evidently, according to her, the ones in the brain, the cells in your brain that you're born with, are the ones that you have forever. So, there's my disclaimer. I'm not a neuroscientist. I don't know anything about how the body really works. But if you were curious, afterwards I can give you her email and you can learn all about it. Because I don't want to contribute to falsehood of science. So, there we go. So, first of all, I really, again, want to thank everybody for needing music stands, everybody who put this together, and especially Logan, who came and picked me up and got me here. And it was amazing. It got me, and I saw a goat, and it was great. I live in New York City, so I get really excited about this. So here's the stuff. Stories of selves replaced. I've been more people than should logically fit into 7 years. I've swapped genders, coasts, goals, lovers, enemies, and lives to get before you today. My selves have replicated and committed suicide. All of them have been reborn. I'm not the person I was 7 years ago. I've killed off the parts of myself that didn't work. I've rebirthed myself in dark basement corners and quiet city parks. I've both destroyed and birthed family, dwelled within a world of my own creation, with language and meaning only apparent to my closest comrades. There have been hard times, scared times, but they could never outweigh the positive times of freedom, love, and creation. I am not the same person that I was 7 years ago, but I wouldn't change those years or the 17 imprisoned ones that came before them. Look closely. The last 7 years are written scar-like across my flesh, some inky and vibrant, and others fading. I modify to become embodied, or the closest thing I can get to that. Body modification has never been simple decoration, never entered a parlor and picked flash off the wall. Rather, I mark beings, places, and journeys. I struggle with embodiment, find myself wondering what it would mean to feel at home in my body, to have tendons and muscles feel like my own, bone and marrow fall into place unequivocally my own. I've never been able to say yes. I feel like what the world sees. Never I've been able to say, I'm this person, thing, that your eyes read as woman, and yet I can't say that the person 5 years ago you would have read as male, when needle met flesh every 7 days was me either. I don't know how it feels to not constantly ponder who you are, always wondering if this was the right body, the correct life. 7 years ago, February 11th, 2002, there was an earthquake. The continental plates of lives met, sending people running. There were many deaths that day. I strode through the casualties. Tears were tattooing lines on my cheekbones, and I carried with me a navy blue backpack, wore a sage green t-shirt, dusty jeans, and mud-case sneakers. I became the mountains, straddling worlds. I've always been indecisive, but that day, a lifetime ended and a new one began. I charted new maps, drew them haphazardly on fast food napkins with thick black permanent marker, but the boundaries bled into the fibers. I complicated the borders. I'm the hick hidden within the punk. I am the punk outside the hick. The lines of my identity always blur. The lines of my identity are always at odds with each other.